A deep dive into the invisible war choking our atmosphere, the role of real wars in accelerating it, and the urgent call to global powers for decisive action. Is pollution silently killing us, and is war making it worse? In this powerful Consumer Times episode, we uncover the devastating truth about air, water, and soil pollution and how it has become a curse upon humanity. We examine the role of supreme powers and global institutions in advocating for clean air and a healthier planet, and expose how armed conflicts dramatically accelerate environmental destruction. From burning oil fields to chemical warfare residue and displaced populations, war is one of the most overlooked drivers of catastrophic pollution. Watch, share, demand change. Welcome to Consumer Times. I am your host Dr. Arun Kumar. We live on a planet of extraordinary beauty, a marble of blue and green suspended in infinite darkness. Yet in less than 2 centuries of industrial activity, humanity has managed to poison its own home with a ferocity that no natural disaster could match. Pollution is no longer an environmental concern relegated to science journals. It is a present, breathing, killing curse upon all of mankind. According to the medical journal The Lancet, pollution of all kinds, air, water, chemical, and soil, is responsible for approximately 9 million premature deaths every single year. That is 16% of all deaths on Earth. More people die from pollution annually than from AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria combined. These are not statistics. These are mothers, children, farmers, and city dwellers who never got a fair chance at the lives they deserved. Pollution is the slow war that no one declared, but all of us are losing. Air pollution alone accounts for 7 million of these deaths. In countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and across sub-Saharan Africa, children grow up breathing air that would fail every standard set by the World Health Organization. Particulate matter, the microscopic debris from vehicle exhausts, coal plants, and construction sites, lodges deep in the lungs, triggering asthma, heart disease, strokes, and cancers. Water pollution kills hundreds of thousands more, particularly children under 5, through waterborne diseases like cholera, dysentery, and typhoid. The soil that feeds billions has been contaminated by pesticide, heavy metals, and industrial runoff, causing neurological damage, hormonal disruption, and cancers that manifest over decades. And then there is noise pollution, the constant assault of urban machinery and transportation, quietly contributing to stress disorders, hearing loss, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. What makes pollution a true curse is its indifference. It does not check your passport or your bank balance before it enters your bloodstream. Yet the cruel irony is that those who contribute the least to pollution suffer its consequences the most. The wealthiest nations and corporations generate the lion's share of global emissions, while the world's poorest communities, living near industrial facilities, open landfills, and contaminated rivers, pay with their health and their children's futures. This is where the responsibility of supreme global powers becomes not merely a moral question, but an urgent civilizational obligation. The United Nations, the G7, the G20, the permanent members of the Security Council, these are institutions and nations that command the resources, the technology, and the political influence to transform the global environmental landscape. The Paris Agreement was a step forward, but ambition on paper means nothing without enforcement on the ground. What the world demands now is binding, measurable, and punishable commitments, not voluntary pledges that evaporate under the pressure of electoral cycles and corporate lobbying. Supreme powers must lead by example. The European Union's Green Deal, while imperfect, demonstrates that it is possible to redesign an entire economy around clean energy without sacrificing prosperity. China, the world's largest emitter, has announced ambitious carbon neutrality targets but must be held to transparent accountability. The United States, with its vast technological prowess, must re-engage with the global community not just as a signatory to treaties but as an active engineer of clean solutions, sharing renewable energy technology, funding climate adaptation in vulnerable nations, and holding its own industries to the highest environmental standards. Every barrel of oil burned in conflict is a double crime, against humanity and against the earth. But there is one enormous driver of pollution that the world consistently fails to address with the seriousness it deserves: war. Armed conflict is an environmental catastrophe in uniform. When bombs fall, they do not merely destroy buildings. They rupture fuel pipelines, shatter chemical storage facilities, and release carcinogenic compounds into the air, water, and soil that persist for generations. The Gulf War of 1991 saw over 700 Kuwaiti oil wells set ablaze by retreating Iraqi forces, pumping millions of tons of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and toxic soot into the atmosphere, an ecological disaster that affected air quality across the entire Middle East and parts of South Asia. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, spanning more than 2 decades, left landscapes riddled with depleted uranium, unexploded ordnance, and contaminated water sources that continue to cause birth defects and cancers among local populations today. The conflict in Ukraine has raised urgent environmental alarms as well. Strikes on industrial zones, fuel depots, and agricultural land have introduced toxic pollutants into the Black Sea and surrounding ecosystems, with consequences that will endure long after any ceasefire is signed. It is a pattern repeated across every major conflict in history: Yemen, Syria, Libya, the Democratic Republic of Congo. War and pollution are inseparable companions. There is also the often ignored fact that the global military-industrial complex is itself one of the world's largest institutional carbon emitters. Military operations, training exercises, weapons manufacturing, troop logistics, naval and air operations consume staggering quantities of fossil fuels. Yet military emissions are almost entirely excluded from national climate reporting commitments. This loophole must be closed. Peace and clean air are not separate aspirations, they are the same aspiration. What can be done? The solutions are known. The technology exists. Renewable energy, solar, wind, hydrogen, can power our cities without poisoning our skies. Circular economies can eliminate the concept of waste. Clean water infrastructure can be built at scale. Electric transportation can silence our roads. Trees can be replanted by the billions. But none of this happens through good intentions alone. It requires political courage, international solidarity, corporate accountability, and above all, an awakened citizenry that refuses to accept a poisoned planet as the price of progress. We at Consumer Times believe that information is the first act of advocacy. If this video moves you, share it. Demand transparency from your leaders. Support clean air policies. Reject the false choice between economic growth and environmental survival. The earth did not give us this curse, we built it ourselves. And only we can lift it. The time to act is not tomorrow. The time is now. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. This is Consumer Times, and we will see you in the next video.